One of the commentators asked me, what would I do personally if I was head of the Fed or the Treasury? And, uh, and that was backed up by a lot of likes. So I just want to address this. This is not really, anybody who follows me knows that I am not here to tell you what quote unquote my opinion is. Does it leak through how I speak? I'm sure it does. But what I would say to you is that what I'm trying to do is explain the different situations as we see them come up so that you can make your own decision. So, but let's take a step back and think through what's going on in the world so that you can make up your mind. I talk about the five factors all the time. And I believe in a world where the global system is breaking down. I think it's undeniable now. Okay, we've been talking about it for 3 years, but it's happening. Let's look at technology. So the five systems are food, energy, technology, security, and what we call UCI, underwater critical infrastructure, okay? These are all global systems that have been built over the last 80 years, all right? And so when I look at these systems and you take them one at a time, you look at technology, okay? Do you believe that we have broken the global technology system? Absolutely, right? I mean, absolutely, we've broken it. We have companies that are banned and countries are banned and you can't do this and you can't do that. 5 years ago, there was none of that, right? The system for technology is totally broken. Let's look at energy. Look what's going on. I mean, I mentioned the other day, someone says I'm warmongering. I am not. I am just, look at Israel, hit their gas facilities, so they hit Israel's Haifa gas facilities. Listen, if you're going to take someone out and you're going to go down, how would you go down? Personal opinion, I go down in flames. And I'll point out, we did a video on this about the Japanese, right? Japanese, we cut off their oil, we cut off their steel, used steel, whatever you want to call that. And so they had big meetings, all their people, military and everything. They said, we can't beat America. No way. We're 10 to 1. They have more production than we do. We'll get smoked. So what did they do? They did a surprise attack. Don't tell me countries don't act what we may perceive as not in their best interest. And let's look at food, especially fertilizer. Now, I've talked about this several times over a couple of years. I have clients I work with who think I'm a total idiot on this, but let me tell you something. We are modern farming in this world for the vast majority of the food that is produced. And that modern farming is based on one thing and one thing only, our ability for fertilizer. And whether people want to admit it or not, it's been 2.5 years that both China and Russia have banned all exports of fertilizer, okay? They've already banned it 2.5 years ago, all right? Iran is 52 or 54% of all urea in the world, which is our oil-based fertilizer, comes from Iran. How about they say, we're not going to send it out? We'll just send it to China, okay? Then, just think about your food stores. I saw some guy a couple years ago, he said, walk to your food store, and as you go down the aisle, just look and see how many items come from overseas. And I will tell you something, I was blown away. I was stunned. It's unbelievable. And of course, the stat of the year is that 100 years ago, the average bite of food on the American table came from within 10 miles of that house, all right? Today, it's over 1,000 miles. So when you look and you see the president stand up there and say, we're gonna put, and I'm gonna say 182 countries, even though only 2 of them have penguins on them, are gonna have a minimum of 10% on them, 10. And we know there are 25, 30, 45% out there. And these people send us food from around the world. How in God's name is the food prices not gonna go up? I just can't see it, okay? And we said today in the paper, they just caught some Chinese ship in the Baltic Sea, and it looks like they're going to arrest the captain and the first mate and everything. Why? They hit the critical UCI, underwater critical infrastructure, again in the Baltic Sea. So when I say the systems are breaking, so this then leads us into, well, how do you invest in today's world? Well, you have to be invested, as I've said a billion times, and Buffett is the perfect example. Everyone's talking about all the money, all the cash he has. He's literally the largest private holder of treasuries in the world, okay? But he's still 65% invested. So what do you do with the rest of the money? I say you look at the 5 systems. I said 2 years ago, you should be buying fertilizer, which by the way is more than doubled in price, okay? I liked gold and silver, only because if we're gonna break the system, the global system, then that means the currencies would go wild, and I believe gold and silver are currency safe havens, whatever you wanna call them, not long-term, but safe haven. People pile in them when they can't see how it's all gonna work out. Then you need to think that you have to look at these systems and say, if we break them, whoever in the world breaks any of those 5 systems, what goes up in price, what goes down in price? And the only thing I'll say is, you cannot be buying the companies that buy the commodities. You need to buy the commodities, because the companies have to buy the commodities and have to buy them at higher prices. So the money is going to be made if you invest in the commodities that belong to a global system that gets broken. That's the number one way, in my personal opinion, okay? So whether the stock market's gonna go up or down here, the liquidity that we're throwing into the market right now, I really, I don't know. Remember, my number one narrative from 2007, 8, and 9, the great, is that we'll go to 2029 on this bull run. You know what? It's still in place, okay? So then you say, if I'm the Fed, what would I worry about? And I've said this many, many times on this channel. And this is it. This is the Fed balance sheet. And, I see the guys on X, they're like, oh, we're not doing QE, we're still going down. Listen, QT is $5 billion a month. That's what it is. And look at the last 30 days. We bought $43.4 billion from Soma during an auction. And so far, we've bought another $20 billion through the Treasury for existing issues. That's 60-some billion dollars in the last 30-some days, okay? We're only taking off $5 billion. But part of the balance sheet is that we own CMBS, okay? Mortgages. And here's the mortgages. They're about, a little under half of the Fed's balance sheet. But notice, once the interest rates were coming down, people refinanced, okay? But they're not refinancing. We're not selling the CMBS, because if we sold the CMBS, this would affect mortgage prices, and nobody wants that. That is not happening. So what you're seeing here is that because the interest rates are now moving up, you're seeing less and less people refi on their mortgages. So really, here's where we're at. This is from the other day. Here's the corporation, what they have to refinance over the next, 90 days or so, all right? Almost like $7 trillion. The US government needs, we don't really sure here, but minimum of $6 trillion over the next 5 months. $6 trillion over the next 5 months. So the question is where or how much QE can we actually do here? I mean, if we're faced with a situation this year where our interest rates on the long end and the short end start going up, our government's going to do QE. So, but how much can we do? Can we do 3 trillion, 4 trillion, 2 trillion? What can we do? I don't know. I don't think the Fed knows. And whether we like it or not, the dollar is under attack. Now you have to understand something. In today's world, all these companies trading now with the dollar going down, everything they're doing is they're doing forward contracts to protect against the US dollar. That means they sell the US dollar. So now there's a natural sell on the dollar. What do you think? Like and follow? Tell me in the comments.